it talks about the human trafficking that in a small town. So in a small city, in a small town, having a case, making a case uh, for a book like this, and that too on a human trafficking, just try to extrapolate for us.
In the Women Peace and Security Index last year, in that the rank of India was 128 of 177 countries. Generally, India is not very safe, and on the top of this list of cities that are unsafe, Delhi is right up.
And will you please elaborate on this? If we are not able to resolve this issue of women's safety, there is no other thing that we must be looking into then.
If you can't make it safe for the woman in the country, how can you make it safe for the businesses coming here? How can you make it safe for any kind of development?
Just few lines for the audience that why they must be looking ahead and purchasing the book that you have recently published.
My publisher said something. She said there are readers who read books, and then there are non-readers sometimes who pick up a book and then they can't leave it. So this is one of those books.
Welcome to the podcast, The State of Affairs, the show where we dive deep into international relations and book discussions. I'm your host, Maharaj, and in each episode, we embark on a journey through the pages of history, through the pages of current geopolitics, and also in the book discussions, we do explore the life, inspirations, and profound impact of the renowned authors. Today, we have the privilege of delving into a book discussion, a book that's Beneath the Veneer, written by Sreya Sarkar. From the humble beginnings to the heights of literary acclaim, Shreya Sarkar has actually had a debut novel out. Uh, she has crafted a story that has made a name, and is a wonderful novel in its own right. So join me to unravel the tapestry of the author's novel, Veneer beneath the Veneer. Without further ado, let's explore the world. Let's explore this book discussion, and I hope that we'll make most of it. Given the fact that Shreya Sarkar is for the first time joining me on my podcast, The State of Affairs. Welcome on the podcast, Shreya.
Thank you so much, Mehraj. It's an honor to be on your podcast, and I look forward to a wonderful conversation with you.
Yeah, we have. I was telling you before we started this recording, and there is a geographical gap that we have. You have the mornings there. I have just had the end of the day, about an end of the day in India. So yeah, draw us a larger picture of becoming an author.
Mhm.
Before getting into the book discussion, just tell me more about it. Shreya Sarkar, a political science student, then into the international relations possibly, and also could have joined some public policy institute, obviously for the research and the impeccable work you have been doing when it comes to political science. And then being an author and also then choosing a different genre. What
Mhm.
makes you an author?
See, Mehraj, thank you for this question. Let me introduce myself properly.
Yeah.
I was born and brought up in Kolkata, and my roots are very close to my city. I come from a family of voracious readers, and we are a very argumentative family. And from a very early age, I have been always tossed into these discussions at home about books, about politics. So there was there was no difference between a grown up and a child in our household. All discussions were open for everyone. So, from an early age, as you can imagine, I have had this relationship, this connection with words. I had to express myself. I had to make myself clear in front of my argumentative family. And I had this love for reading. So that
Mhm.
is, I would say, the beginning of the germ of, my wanting to become a writer. But more than that, I would say my training in political science also has shaped me the way I am today. It has given me the ability to analyze and to rise above politics, to be, to have a neutral standpoint. And that has given me a lot, shown me a lot of stories, introduced me to new characters. I have had my experience and my share of experience in think tanks. I was a part of a think tank in US. I'm associated with a few think tanks like Center for Civil Society in Delhi. So that connection is also there. It has always been alive, and I hope to keep it because that's my background. But apart from that, what has really stood out for me over time is that when I sifted through numbers and data, I also saw a lot of personal stories, Maharaj, which were screaming to be told, which couldn't be told through the non-fiction format at times. And somehow over the years, the stories that I read in the newspapers that stayed with me, they coalesced into this book, Beneath the Veneer, and we will talk more about it as we enter that discussion. But all the characters here, you will see some connection of these characters to what you've read in the newspapers. So that's interesting. It's a personal journey as well as something that I learned from my career in public policy.
And when we talk about the outline of the book, the overview speaks for itself, and it talks about the human trafficking that in a small town. That's the starting point we can begin with when it comes to this book,
Yeah.
Beneath the Veneer. So, in a small city, in a small town, having a case, making a case uh, for a book like this, and that too on a human trafficking. Just try to extrapolate for us this point.
I'll tell you a bit about the background. Okay, there are two contrasting narratives in India which I see regarding
Mhm.
women's safety. Now, on one side, the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, they released last year, 2023, that female participation in the country has improved significantly, and it has
Mhm.
really gone up, which shows that more and more women are entering the workforce in India. And also, the present national government claims to be the champion of women by floating all these women centric schemes and policies. In a post budget discussion last year, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he hailed women as the growth engine of the Indian economy. And also in G20 summit, this whole women led development, this was an important topic that was discussed in details. Now, this is a reality. This is something which we hear. But at the same time, we know very well that, in the Women, Peace and Security Index, which was released by the Georgetown Institute for Women, Peace and Security last year, in that, the rank of India it was 128th of 177 countries, which is pretty dismal. Okay, so this is the parallel narrative. And a lot of us know that Delhi was and is still synonymous with being an unsafe city for the woman. And generally, India is not very safe. And on the top of this list of cities that are unsafe, Delhi is right up there. So, women's safety issues is a topic which is politicized, but nothing has been done about them. So, my book emerges out of this contrast that are we really developing as a country, moving forward, making it safer for industry, for business, for tourism, or are we still just the same as we were 20, 30 years ago? So this is the question that this book kind of digs into, and this particular book, it has been purposely, it has been framed in one of these satellite cities. Of course, it's an imaginary city outside Delhi, where six women in this particular book, six women have come together in search of safety, in search of a new beginning, because this particular town has advertised that it's a safe haven for women. It advertises a clean environment, a safe environment. But then they discover that even in this new spanking city, there are some secrets lurking beneath the veneer. That's why the particular title that I've used here. And as they unravel the mysteries of the city, they realize that there is a trafficking ring, and one of the daughters of these six women, she gets kidnapped, and that is how it starts. The story starts off, but that is just the beginning, Maharaj. Below that, as they understand what's happening really in the town, they also unravel truths and secrets about themselves and what they are capable of doing. So that is what the story is about, how they protect themselves as a group of women.
Drawing, getting out of whatever you have been talking about in early in the earlier remarks, is that the indices don't speak so good a picture for India, or don't paint a picture for a country like India, where women's safety still haunts the current governance discourse and the gender discourse. My limited point is, you could have chosen a different path. I mean, I'm a freedom absolutist, but then, yeah, being a political science student, I can understand where this comes from. Picking up the gender and also then speaking up for it could have been. There are n number of issues. There are issues of slums. There are issues of poverty. There are issues of climate. There are, I mean, these are the hotbeds of the current political discourse in anywhere you live or stand. So why only picking up a story where we can talk about these women, talk about this issue of women's safety, that too in a city like Delhi? What actually goes wrong in Delhi when it comes to your experiences, your abstracts, and your understanding of the Delhi culture?
See, the reason why I chose this topic over others is that this is an issue close to my heart. I have been in Delhi for my master's, even my growing up years. I've spent a couple of years in Delhi. As a child, I've seen Delhi, and as a young adult, I've seen Delhi. I've been fascinated by the city, and at the same time, terrified of it. So it's this dual feeling that I have, this contrasting feeling I have towards the city that drew me towards this particular topic. And also, one of the reasons why I chose it, I don't think enough is being told about this, enough is being discussed. All these things that you discussed, brought up slums, climate change, all these things will follow. Believe me, I have more books in me, I hope. But this is something I wanted to start with because I feel beneath all the other layers of complexities and crisis, whether it's farmers' movement, whether it is pollution, this particular topic has always been there in Delhi, in India as such. And all political parties have promised to take care of it, but nobody has. I think it's time that we started talking about basic safety amenities of women. And this is something that has to come up, and everybody has to talk about it. So I understand how important this topic is, and I want to remind people that through all their political struggles, identity struggles, and every kind of strife that you're participating in, don't forget how unsafe your mother, your sister, your wife, your girlfriend is in this country. If we don't solve this problem, we cannot solve any other problem.
And will you please elaborate on this? If we are not able to resolve this uh, issue of women's safety, there is no other thing that we must be looking at. Then no other issues can be resolved.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't make it safe for the woman in the country, how can you make it safe for the businesses coming here? How can you make it safe for any kind of development? Any kind of development needs the participation, the equal participation of women. If that is not happening in a country that has so many bright women, then basically you're not completing the education of ABCD, and you're trying to write a thesis for masters. So this is the building block. Make the country safe. Every particular, whichever political party has come to the states, to the centers, they have tried, they've grappled with this. But I think as a country, we have to come together and make uh, make
what
this a
what ma-
different place.
what makes your book different when there's already a gender discourse that's happening? People are writing, people are working, people have become activists
Mm,
in terms of making a case for women's safety. And also, government has been in and out trying to include some policy reforms, trying to, you have been telling it and accepting it, that they have been grappling with it. But my
mhm,
point is still that, let's again face it. The
mhm,
issue is that gender equality or women's safety isn't still,
mhm,
leave aside gender equality, but the women's safety is not still on the desk. in the mainstream political discourse of India. Because normally the current political party that's ruling the country, that's BJP, they will say that sabka saath sabka vikas. Have a they have a mandate of being a party with lots of parliamentarians backing them and having a clean majority. But then the opposition and the states they are ruling, there isn't any improvement when it comes to women's safety.
Hmm.
So if this is not happening, but the business on the other hand is any which way happening, either the facts just are portrayed the wrong way, or there is a problem that nobody wants to look at. So what's your take on that?
See, I think we have placed too much responsibility on the governments, the society, people in society, the social organizations. They also have a will. They also have a say. If they organize themselves, then the government has to step in and do something more than just politicizing it. And of course, after the Nirbhaya case, a lot of steps have been taken. CCTV cameras have been installed, the GPS devices have been added to some of the public transport vehicles. And also, I think there is a kind of, some security forces have also been employed in Delhi. But is it enough? My point is it just the government's responsibility to take care of the woman, to make sure the women are safe in our country? Isn't it also the responsibility of us civilians to look into it? What can we do? This book is different, I would say, because it it might not be a good solution in somebody else, in a lot of people's eyes, but they do come up with something on their own. If
No, but
you have to protect
see,
yourself.
see,
Yeah,
let me admit this. The book, I have seen the reviews, and I just missed the signing of the signing ceremony or the occasion in Delhi. Although I was invited, I'm so
yeah,
much.
you go missed.
I just missed that. How could I miss it? Because I was preoccupied with other things. I couldn't
I
reach
know.
the venue in time. But then I would have loved to explore it more in person, because there are certain things, certain roadblocks that I have had around 10 to 20 podcasts on gender equality, women's safety, policy reforms, and whatnot, with people across the spectrum, from professors, from researchers, from policy analysts, and from different universities, not only in India, but across.
Yeah.
But still, my point is, your book is a valuable contribution to this, because this you have taken a different path. You are no more into the research. You are into the writing world, into the literature world, and making it there. You have already been able to move the needle. So yeah, you can resume from that.
See, one of the reasons which you brought up a point earlier in the podcast, that why fiction? Because my training is in writing non-fiction articles, white papers. I could have provided a well-padded research article on women equality, women safety in India. Now, all the, as you just mentioned, a lot of work has been done, but somehow they've always slipped into this universe of white papers and think tank and policy discussion. It has never come out as a story. Until and unless these come out as stories of people who are close to you, who you know as a person, they will never stay with you or compel you to do something about it. It is only through fiction, I believe. Amitabh Ghosh recently has said that if you really want something, people to do, to act on the climate change issue, and to really take some strong resolutions, you have to go into fiction, because only these kind of stories stay with people and compel people to do something about it. I think that fiction is the only way you can make people come nearer to this problem and make it bigger than just numbers. It can happen to anyone you're friends with. It can happen to your doctor. It can happen to your lawyer. It doesn't matter what economic strata you're coming from. So the purpose of this book is that there is the numbers, there are policies, and then there is you as an individual, as a civilian. What can you do from your point of view? It reminds people that we can also do a lot if we come together in a group. So that is why it's a fiction, and that's the reason why I keep saying that stories are important when it comes to women's safety.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the question of fiction and reality, we'll go there in the last segment of this podcast. After this question is, the question is again, that what is the bottom line of the book that you have written? Let's explain it to the audience, because whosoever must be purchasing it from the portals that it's available with,
Yeah.
uh, obviously they will have an understanding of this person that Shreya Sarkar is writing this. What's the bottom line of this book?
Now, I'll tell you a bit about what my moderator told me. I had a book launching session in Kolkata, and Animita Devi was my moderator. She thought that she's going to read at least a bit of the book before having a discussion. And then in 3 days, she finished the book. And she came back to me and she said, "Oh my God, what is this book?" So I said, "Are you saying that in a good way, or what's your reaction here?" She said, "You know what? What's important about this book is it straddles two different genres. And we will talk about genre bending later on. One of the biggest problems I was, banging into initially when I was trying to publish this book is they asked me, what genre is this? Is this crime thriller? Is it mystery? Is it a woman-centric story? Is it a drama? I said, it's a society. It's I don't know. Maybe it's a social thriller. So basically, this story, the kind of feedback I'm getting is people were shocked. A lot of people were shocked. A lot of people were angry. So it had some strong reaction in people, which is exactly what I'm looking for. I want people to be angry. I want people to get emotional and do something for a change, because advocacy and activism is something that has taken a backstage in our country, and because it has been normalized, all these cases coming every day, there are rape cases, there are kidnapping cases, we read it and we forget it. So this book is going to make people, I think it's going to make people a bit more emotional, and that is going to put them to work.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting. I'll be just ordering a book, my copy
I
for it.
look forward to your feedback. I'm waiting
No, no,
for it.
I'm just so eagerly waiting to read it. But then, yeah, the question again stands that why you could have chosen a different path in order to make a story out of it and just try to advocate whatever your case is. But
Mhm.
you chose fiction. Is it a contradiction, or is it a literary freedom that we can have? Uh, that you have actually undertaken in order to write a book like this. So, how do you mix both things, like fiction and reality?
Okay, much has been said about this, Mehraj, but I'm just going to repeat and say it in the same line that what is fiction writing? There is this combination of imagination and reality, right? The heart of the fiction is always it lies in creative narratives and your imagination, but the backdrop, the backbone, that's always supported by the stories as they are in reality, right?
Mhm.
So I believe the devil is in the details. The feel of a place, the street layouts, the food eaten, the clothing worn, the language spoken, the fears, the trepidations of the people. All these things come from, this is the raw material for any story, and they always come from reality. Then of course you take it further, as you just mentioned, you have the liberty to use your imagination, go to places, dark places, or more idealistic places, which sometimes nonfiction or really doesn't allow you to go in, and that is where imagination comes in. That's the reason why fiction sometimes stays with people and gives you hope more than the nonfiction articles and reports coming out sometimes.
And about the moral dilemmas and the central theme of the book, that's justice. Uh, how do the characters or your imagination deals with that?
That is a very important question. Moral dilemma is something that all the characters in this particular book is going to face time and again. At an individual level, at the societal level, what they're doing, being meted out, of course, that's injustice. But how are they dealing with it? Are they running away from it? How are they bending their morality to survive in a town which is not fair to them? That is something I think each and every character grapples with. There is no right or wrong here. It's just what people choose, and you will see people choosing, the characters choosing what they choose, because that is what they think at that point is going to be good for them or the right thing for them to do. But yeah, it's an important question. That's something I think even the reader, when you're reading through all the six stories that come together, you're going to ask yourself, is this person doing the right thing? So yeah, that's the idea.
And about the title,
Oh, okay.
what
I can't give away too much,
what makes
Mehraj.
what makes is beneath the veneer?
Okay, I'll tell you what. The blurb is pretty clear. In the blurb, it's pretty clear what's the book about. But all I have to say here, without giving away too much, because there is a mystery aspect to it, and I want you to discover it. That is just the top patina. Okay, there are layers. That's one layer. It comes off. You will think the book is of a certain kind, about a kidnapping, about trafficking. It is, but it is about something else as well. So that's why you have to read the book to find out that what are beneath all those layers. That's
Excitedly looking forward to have a copy on my table anytime soon in the next week or so. But then, yeah, again, if you have to say, sir, you have to just quote yourself in the book and in this podcast. Uh, just few lines for the audience that why they must be looking ahead and purchasing the book that you have recently published.
uh, okay. Just there are two things I want to mention here very quickly. Uh, it is a skinny book. Okay, see, it's not one of those very heavy readings. This is something you can get through, you can burn through real fast. You can do it in a single day. If it is, I have been told it's a page turner. Okay, so it's not a difficult read. And my publisher said something which really stayed with me. She said, there are readers who read books, and then there are non readers sometimes who pick up a book and then they can't leave it because of how fast paced and compelling it reads. That's her word, not mine. So this is one of those books that will keep you hooked to the book until unless you finish it. So it's a lucid read, it's a fast read, it's an important topic, and it's not cumbersome. It's not one of those lofty, grandiose books that you can't wrap your heads around. You will see how familiar it feels, even if you have not been to this imaginary town called Rangvihar. You will have plenty in your experience to kind of pull to understand this book.
And yeah, from the so early in the morning, you have taken the time to join me on this podcast. Thank you so much, Sreya. I'll be looking forward to the next podcast, I mean, any which way I'll be having lots of book discussions in the bucket list and also new authors in the line. And also, apart from that, any debate and discussion on the genre that you have chosen. I'm looking forward to have you definitely on the panel.
Thank you, Mehraj. I look forward to more conversations. Your background is very interesting. So I would like to learn more about you. We should have a podcast on you as well at some point in
Absolutely. I just always been requesting people that just cover my story. I have been covering lots of things people talk and write about.
time.
There
Let's
is
do that. Let's do that. That should be my next book. Let's do that.
oh my god. Seriously.
Okay, thank you
Welcome.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you.